Welcome back to the program, a great sponsor for years. It's Rugged Maniac. They are the perfect introduction race for newbies. Got a friend or kids ages 12 and up you want to introduce to OCR? Rugged Maniac checks all the boxes and is accessible to all athletic abilities. There's a new referral program. Once you sign up for Rugged Maniac, and by the way, they still have some of the lowest early bird prices, you will receive your own personal referral link. If you sign up 5 friends with your personal link, you will be completely refunded your entry fee. A lot of races have a refer your friends discount, but this is the first one I know of that actually gives you your money back. Also this year, Rugged Maniac has upgraded to tech tees. We all love tech finisher tees. Rugged Maniac is going to give you one of those. There's also some new obstacles being announced. I'm hoping to be one of the first to bring those to you. I do Rugged Maniac almost every year. Super fun. Love it, love it, love it. It's one of those races that if you're experienced, you can race elite in the morning and then do a funsy lap in the afternoon. A very, very good time. Check out ruggedmaniac.com.
Yeah! Get up!
Welcome to the Obstacle Racing Media Podcast with Matt B. Davis.
With over 300 episodes since 2012, Matt has produced the most consistent podcast in OCR.
Each episode, Matt speaks with race directors, athletes, and industry insiders to bring you the most in-depth interviews and conversations in the world of obstacle racing,
adventure runs, and ultra marathons. If you have small children nearby, now is the time to put on some headphones
or send them off to watch Phineas and Ferb, as there are occasionally 4-letter words,
which are not bleeps. Now, here is your host.
Now here is your goddamn host.
Now here's your host, fucking Matt B. Davis.
Good day, everyone. Welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Matt B. Davis. It's Friday. It's my birthday. I'm in Los Angeles. It's a lot of great stuff happening. For those of you who follow me on the social, yes, I've been in LA for a secret project, which I will tell you about later, and also for the kickoff of Tough Mudder. It seems crazy because there's been so many Spartan races going on, but yes, this is the first Tough Mudder of the season here in LA. Not really, about an hour and a half north, 2 hours with traffic. I'll be heading there shortly. But I want to bring this, first of all, let me just say, I've already got a ton of birthday wishes, and thank you so much. And I'm really excited, not right word, I'm really grateful. I'm super duper grateful, and I just wanted to take the time. I feel like I do it a lot, but I don't think you can ever express enough gratitude in the world. I'm going to take a sip of a Coke that's been sitting here for 2 days. I wonder if it's any good. Nope, it was warm and flat. Why did I need to drink that? I don't know. I'm here to do something that I love. What do I love to do? Well, sit here and talk to you guys, make fun content, write stuff, make podcasts, do fun stuff in the social. This is my job, and I take it very seriously, and I take that you guys enjoy it very seriously, and having an audience that gets it and gets me just means the world to me. I'm not doing it justice. I apologize. Perhaps it's the jet lag. I don't know. Just know that this has been a great week for me, and I really appreciate you. And we're just getting started. I mean, there's so much more. We haven't even got to the Mudder this weekend. Seattle next weekend. We're about a quarter way through the year. This was so much clearer in my head. Just know that I'm super grateful to be spending my 47th birthday doing something that I really love. The only thing that would make it better is if I could also see my family at some point today, because they are back home, but we are sending messages and whatnot, and I'm sure I will FaceTime later. But this is great. This is what I'm saying is this is great, and I appreciate you all for being there for me. On today's program, Josue Stephens back on the show. He's been on a bunch. I can't even count how many times. We go all the way back to 2013 with his adventure meets OCR meets new thing that nobody heard of yet called the Survival Run. And he's now on Spartan's Agoge team, endurance team, and he's putting on a very unique event in a very unique country, and we're here to talk about that and some other things. So let's do it. Away we go, Josue and I.
Yeah, awesome. Good to see you. Yeah, it's been a while. Got a lot of things to talk about.
You always have a lot of things to talk about, though. Like, you're always traveling the world, doing wacky things.
That's what I do.
Right?
Yeah. Cool. Well, ask me some questions. I'm excited to talk.
Why is your hair so sexy?
I don't know. It's getting long. Got to go cut it right after this.
Well, I guess, you've had your own race series, and its various permutations over the year, but you also started a couple years ago working for Spartan. Actually, weren't you even on their like Latin American team, like going back to like when I first met you, like 2013?
Yeah, I was kind of sort of starting to dabble in it back then. And I think even when I first met you in 2012, I had been doing sort of some contractor type work for Spartan here and there. But I didn't really get officially started with race directing for them until 2014 with Latin American events, and then just got more and more involved and started handling more international things. And 2016 went over to Asia a bunch, and yeah, it's just been evolving from there. And 2019, I'm moving out of the international side of things. I'll still be obviously involved in international, but now I'll be the director of product management, working under David Watson's department. So handling all kinds of things from sport to international communication, product development. It's rules development, part of that committee. So yeah, all kinds of things. Agoge, extreme endurance.
Well, that seems like an awful lot. Like, for example, we've already had a lot of craziness with, like, we had DQs a couple weeks ago. We had in Jacksonville, and then we had another DQ last weekend in California. That's that under your purview?
I'm actually working with the rules committee right now. We're working on process and release cycles and all of that. We're also working with some other sports and their rules committees to make sure that we sync up on all of that. And hopefully, once we go through this whole process, it'll be a lot easier to call the shots, and and the rules will be a lot more clean and obvious. The sport's still in development, so I think that's just an inevitable thing.
But I mean, in terms of, I guess, like, so there was an inadvertent course cutting in California. Now, just because it's inadvertent doesn't mean you don't have to lay down the law, because you do. So I'm saying, do you oversee the people that make those rules, or decide what penalties are, or like what is your most people know Coble, and most people know Watson, thanks to me mostly. But so where do you fit in there? That's kind of what I'm trying to get at, your role, or what your, like, how the team works, because there's a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, there are. So David's done a great job of sort of assembling a product team, and Coble is part of that team, and he manages a certain section of it. We've got Gary Bellinger, we've got director of customer service. Gary's been
around a long time too, right?
Yeah. So he works quite a bit on the rule book and updating the rule book and rules, championship series points, and all of that. On the rules specifically, there's not any one person there just calling the shots and changing things. It really is a committee, and it's also formed of some athletes and some other people. Morris, obviously, from production, that are involved in that, and then some outside consultation, obviously, on process from other rules committees and other sports. So yeah, I'm definitely not calling the shots on all of that.
And then what's your role with the Agoge stuff?
So I'm coming in, I guess, I have both race directing and project management experience. So I'm coming in with Agoge as it's developing more into an international adventure type of event. I think originally it started on the farm in Vermont. It was a little bit of a death racing type of event. While not quite the death race, it's more of a group training type thing. But really the last year, especially with Mongolia, it turned into a international adventure, sort of a real cultural integration, which, from Survival Run and the way that I developed that in Nicaragua, that's kind of what I'm all about. And I love that type of event. So when I, started getting involved in the product team, we started talking about the Agoges coming up in 2019 and what ideas we had for them, and setting the standard for them being these international adventures. And I had some contacts in Namibia, and they had contacted me about doing an event there with the San people, the Bushmen. So I brought up Namibia, and that's how that one came about. I went out a couple weeks ago and did a scouting and met with the San, and it was an amazing time. And I mean, it's going to be a great event.
So, to give people some geographical context, I'm not sure if you're aware of this. Americans not so great on geography.
Well aware.
Namibia is on the continent of Africa, connected to South Africa. It borders South Africa to the south, Botswana to the east, Angola to the north. Correct?
Yep. And it shares some of the Kalahari Desert, which is the desert that's where the Bushmen, well, they used to call them the Bushmen. The proper name is the San tribe lives. And if anybody's ever seen The Gods Must Be Crazy, that's probably the easiest reference for people on the Bushmen.
So we'll have to tell the people, again, the young kids today probably have no clue. If you can find that, I don't know if it's airing on Netflix or Amazon, but I rented it from Blockbuster with my mother when I was a young man. Phenomenal movie. Gods Must Be Crazy. Still relevant today, right? Still relevant, probably.
Yeah. Yeah, I got The Gods Must Be Crazy 1 and 2, actually, and just showed it to my 3-year-old recently, and he absolutely loves it.
I forget what happens in 2.
2 is where the 2 kids get lost. They end up on a poacher truck, and then the dad basically tracks it down and runs after it. It's pretty cool. It's
all right,
a good story.
I'll have to look at that. Now, when you created this amazing experience in Nicaragua, you are a man who speaks the language, literally. So it's, a lot easier for you to work with the locals. And I assume you don't speak whatever they speak in that country. And there's probably like 100 dialects in the country, right?
Yeah, there are. And the Bushmen, the San, their language is very, very complex. It's the clicks. So the clicks and like the sounds from the back of their throat. So no, I don't speak the language, but I have a lot of experience now with producing events in places where I don't speak a lick of the language. And honestly, actually, Namibia has a lot of English. There was actually more German than anything else in most places, but most people speak English. It was a German colony. So I don't know if you know that, but there are places where I went where I was the only person that spoke, decent English. Everybody was speaking German.
So when you say an adventure, I guess, why would someone sign up for this event, and what would they want to get out of it? Or what are the promises of the event, as it were?
So I forgot, did you do Survival Run? No,
I never did. I never participated, but I got a bird's eye view. The first half of the 50K, pretty much the entire 50K that I ran, I kept passing people doing various tasks along the way. So, I mean, and then I've continued to follow on social media and have seen the, somewhat fun, somewhat crazy, somewhat near impossible tasks you've had people do. And by the way, did I tell you that I saw the Canadian movie one that came out?
Oh yeah. Yeah. The Survival Run we did in BC.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was great. It was a great event.
Well, and I think it's a great movie, and it shows kind of what people are in store for. It's like, it's not really an ultra. It's not really an adventure race. It's not really an obstacle race. It's some other thing, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's the thing. Like, the reason it's an adventure, obviously, is the incredible, unique location where it takes place. And that's something that, I feel like, my background was sort of setting the standard for that. And even people that arrived at an event like Survival Run, you went to the event, you didn't even participate in Survival Run, you did the 50K, it was still quite an adventure. But just getting there is an adventure. You got the culture, you got the travel, all of that. I mean, by the time you get there, you're already sort of overwhelmed and having the adventure of your life. And then you got to do it in the case of the Agoge in Namibia. I mean, shoot, you got to go for 60 hours. You're going to be doing all sorts of things. You're going to be tracking rhinos. You're going to be climbing and rappelling. You're going to be going up on the mountains to look for petroglyphs. You're going to be going into caves to find rock art and having to duplicate the rock art. You're going to be learning from the San people. making different hunting tools that they make, making fire with them, learning their language. I mean, I think by the time the 60 hours are over, you're going to want some sleep, but B, you're going to want to, get on social media and brag about it, because it's going to be an amazing event.
Well, I think that's one thing you've always done well is include, parts of that community. And I think a lot of people say they want to do that or tout that they do that, and maybe it's hit or miss, but I know that that's really important to you, that you sort of, and I guess people aren't going to get it or believe it until they experience it or see a really well done movie about it, that I would say that's probably your greatest strength, Josue, is tapping into the culture of the community, the habits of the community, the ways they make things, the way they, get water, whatever it is. And you make that so people leave like, holy shit, this is a real experience.
Yeah, I think that really, so my background is not race production at all. I have a degree in sociology and I studied socioanthropology. So there you go. I guess we always tend to default toward the things we studied, or at least I do. Yeah, that's my biggest thing, is really giving people an experience and a taste of the culture, something that they wouldn't get necessarily even if they just went and took a safari or something like that. I mean, you're really going to be getting down and dirty. So it's exciting. Hopefully, you'll have run-ins with some animals, hopefully not any bad run-ins. Obviously, safety is very important. And in Africa, the biggest threat really in that part of the world is animals.
How difficult is it to get to? What's the closest airport to the event?
It's not bad at all. So, it was a long trip. I live here on the West Coast, so I had to fly to London, which is a pretty long flight from San Francisco. And then I flew to Johannesburg. And then it's actually a short flight north to Windhoek, the capital. If you're looking at a map of Namibia, it's the biggest city in Namibia. I think it's got about 300,000. Once you arrive in Namibia, we're going to do the briefing at the event or at the hotel there. And then we'll actually take you in a vehicle to where the event starts. So the start is going to be a pretty amazing run through a rhino preserve, and it's got a kind of a surprise start. So I'm known for those.
Yes, I was looking at photos recently. It's one great thing about Facebook memories is that those pop up, right? And I guess Ometepe, did you guys do it in February, March? Because I feel like those memories just happened.
Yeah, I think it was Adam Jerseson that sent me a video or something that popped up on his Facebook, and he said, "Hey, how's it going? 2013 Nicaragua." So, yeah. I
happen to keep a calendar of every race I've ever run. So here we go. 2/16/13 was the weekend. So that was 6 years ago.
Yeah, I can't believe it.
Think about how young we were.
Time flies.
Think about how young we were.
I feel younger now. It's amazing how time flies. I was actually thinking about doing a 10-year reunion with everybody, and got a couple more years for that, but it's really cool.
I'll be there if we do the 2023 reunion.
Yeah.
And I don't think you even need to do a full on like the logistics of a crazy like 50K. Just put together like a fun, 20-mile run or just something that we could all do. And then the rest of the time is sitting around and telling stories and all the rest of it.
We've got it pretty dialed in now. I think it's been a while since you've been on the island, but we can put together a survival run in a heartbeat.
But survival runs aren't really my speed. I like the running part.
Yeah.
I don't like the task part. And I love that people do love that stuff. It's just never been my jam.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's why it was a good combo to have both the ultra and that, and the survival run there.
Well,
different people like different things.
Well, it's interesting now looking back because, it was my first ultra and my tour guide is Christian, Christian Griffith, who'd done 100 ultras at that point. And it was great for me because, I'm very much like city boy. I know nothing. Grew up in the suburbs and now I live in the city, but like I'm not very worldly. And he's like, look, just get your ticket. I'll take care of the rest. And this is where we're going to stay. This is what we're going to do. And it'll be amazing. And he was right. Every part of it was amazing. By the time you get to the race, you've already had this great experience. And, every time I see Johnny, we talk about it usually and laugh about it. And every time I see you, I think about it, and it really had an impact on me. And looking back, I feel really lucky. Like that was my first ultra, was up this volcano. That's like, and I don't know if you remember, but I'll tell it now because it's been so long. But it was so you're running. You're on this island. You're going through these various terrains. Here's a fucking oxen. Here's people. Like it's just you're just overwhelmed. And then at the foot of, you have an aid station at the foot of the first. What's is that Madeiras?
Concepcion, the fire. Yeah,
no,
Concepcion.
I thought Madeiras was the Concepcion was the big one. Was 100K was the 100K one.
Oh, that's right. You did. Yeah, you did the 50. One year we routed it the other way. Yeah, so that would have been Madeiras.
So there's an aid station at the bottom, and somehow I think, I've got water, but I don't need to fill my water. I mean, I'm sure that there's something at the top. I'll be fine, right? And I don't know what the average climb is for that, but I was with Jess and this other woman, and we were kind of on the same pace. And somewhere on the mountain, like I kept having to rest, and they were like, "We can't really wait for you. You okay?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'll be fine." So, I'm out of food and water, and I sat down, and someone walked by me, and they said, "Are you okay?" And I said, "Yes," but what I really meant was no. And I'm sitting there a really long time. In an ultra, it could be a really long time before you see anybody. And I was just so kind of mentally depleted that I started telling myself, okay, when the next person comes by, say no when they say, "Are you okay?" Like I was training myself, right? Because, your brain is just, I'd been out there at that point, I don't know, 8 hours, whatever it was. So these people come upon me and they go, "Are you okay?" And I go, "No." And all it took was like, 2 goos and some water, and I was fine. You know what I mean? I just needed to replenish. And then I finished, and I was like, beyond thrilled. And you went, finished, you go right into the ocean, and it was just like this amazing experience that I'll never forget. And so I just feel super lucky that was my first ultra.
That's a good one. It's
right?
A tough one, but it's a great adventure. Yeah, it's funny. It's super tough to admit to other people when you need help in an event. I've run into similar situations, but it's just about saying no, and sometimes you get help that just brings you back up, and you can finish.
Right?
Yeah, I've been there.
So, when is this event? June, July?
So briefing is in Windhoek at the Safari Court Lodge. At 4 p.m. on the 20th of June. And after that, in the morning, the event starts on the 21st, and it's going to go through the 23rd. And then on the 24th, I would imagine most people are going to sleep and not want to depart. But if they're in a hurry, they can do that. They can get out of there on the 24th. But
well, I think this is smart. What you've got here is you've got a registration only, and then you've got here's some gear value, which I think like, hey, less to pack, less to sweat. So you get a waterproof backpack, you get a tarp, you get some meals, you get a little stove. And that's like for the city slicker like me, I would go that route. I'd be like, all right, let me buy all that shit ahead of time. And then it's just there when you get there, I guess. Right.
So that stuff will actually get shipped to your house.
Oh, okay.
Ship international. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, there are some special cases where maybe we can get it shipped over and brought to Windhoek, but ideally each competitor brings it themselves. And we have, I think it's Rockagator, Elements meals, we've got the solo stove. Those items are mandatory for the event. And because the event is so long, that's why the meals and the stove and everything are there. So you actually are ending up, you're cooking your own meals and everything. And there is a required gear list on there that's pretty strict on the actual website, where you can go in and download the gear list. And then to get into the event,
you got to be able to tie knots.
Yeah, that's kind of the basic mandatory thing. We do include that into it, and then everything else is a surprise, and you'll learn along the way. There is a doctor's clearance form. So like any big adventure race or anything like that, there's a doctor's clearance form, and then there's a small swim test and physical fitness assessment you have to do to get in.
What about immunizations?
We have immunization on the website. We actually have the immunization CDC recommendations. There are no You don't have to do yellow fever or anything like that. This is a desert area. There were barely any mosquitoes when I was there, and there are no malaria mosquitoes or anything like that. So you don't have to worry about yellow fever, malaria meds, anything like that.
What can you tell me about mopane worm?
About what?
Is it Mopane worm?
I think that's more, I did a little bit of reading of that. I don't have the exact details, but I think that's more like in the north where it's a little bit, you can start getting a lot more water. It's a little bit greener, but I don't think there's anything like that.
It's on the website.
In the desert where we are.
It's on the website. Am I saying it right? Is it Mopane or Mopane?
I think so. What's the spelling?
Mopane. Mopane.
Mopane.
Mopane. There we go.
Yeah. Yeah. When I went over everything with the locals there, the biggest thing really was, the most dangerous thing in the vicinity are leopards and rhinos. That's it. Rhinos will get you and they will stomp you, and you just have to learn, be careful. And obviously there'll be animal safety that we'll go over before the event even begins. And we'll obviously be sending some information out about that.
Will you and Joe DeSena throw yourself in front of us to save us from the rhinos?
No, no. We know how to avoid them, and if you don't, too bad. No, just kidding. But there are ways to avoid the rhinos, and obviously the night sections are going to be. We have some special things for you to do at night. You're not going to be sitting on your butt or sleeping, but you're also not going to be moving around out in the savannah because it can be pretty dangerous. But yeah, for example, not to scare everybody away, but there was a guy that got attacked by rhino about a month before I was there. And apparently he was an archaeologist. He was digging. Something lifted him up between the legs from behind, threw him up in the air. When he landed on the ground, it was a rhino, and the rhino was going to come and stomp him because that's the next thing they do is they crush you. And his friend who was nearby came over and started screaming and hitting things and like throwing rocks, and the rhino apparently just turned around and walked away. But yeah, they had some elephants in the area, but apparently now they've moved on. And the elephants can apparently be pretty dangerous as well. So. Well,
you were trying to talk me into coming out there. You are now talking me out of it.
I'm just giving you letting you make an informed decision. How about that? No, it's funny though, because the local farmer, this guy Harold Rust, he owns, by the way, a 24,000 acre farm. It's massive, and that's a small farm in Namibia. But he's lived there all his life, and he said, "Yeah, of course there are dangerous animals." He said, "I'd rather live out here than in the middle of the city." He said, "That's more dangerous to me." So it's like avoiding. You don't walk out in the middle of the highway because you're going to get hit by a car. There are ways to avoid these wild animals. And
are you? Is there signal out there?
There is in some spots. Some of the sections on the course, we use SATCOM and all of that as staff, but there is some cell signal. So if you're talking like media coverage and all of that sort of thing, there should be enough for you in most of the area. If not, like some of the main areas have Wi-Fi.
I'm trying to get a good screenshot of you, but it keeps getting you when you're blinking. Hang on a second. Keep your eyes wide open. Has anybody ever told you have slanty eyes?
What kind of slanty?
All right, cool.
I'm a mutt.
I think this was a nice little catch up, right, for us?
Yeah, it's great. If you have any other questions specific to Agoge, obviously go to Spartan.com, go to Find a Race, and look up Agoge. We don't only have Namibia this year; we do have the Greek Isles event that's happening in October, late October. That's right before the Trifecta World Championships in Sparta. So this is going to be on an island, one of the Greek Isles, pretty close to Sparta. It should be a pretty cool experience as well. And obviously that's going to be all designed after the old Spartan Warriors. It'll be a pretty fun, same 60-hour format, but obviously completely different challenges and tasks and everything.
There we go. That'll do it. It's going to wrap up this episode and wrap my time up at the Jeremy Hotel. If staying in West Hollywood, I highly recommend the Jeremy Hotel. It's been a great week here so far, and as I said, headed up to the Tough Mudder, where I will probably see many of you, so come give me a hug or a high five. We'll do fun selfies on the Instagrams and the whatnot. Love you, miss you, mean it. I have got to run.